I am Jadon Se, Golden Dragon of the Third Arc of Consciousness, and this is a message from the Dragon. Today's message: Charted Relationships. Dear ones, human relationships are very interesting, and they are so often what spurs your growth. It is a lifetime worth of adventures, understandings, learning, and growth that you are here for in so many ways. Yes, to be of service and to explore the realms of eternity, so to speak, to create a story and then jump into it. And so often, dear ones, when you create these stories, the backstories, the back channels, so to speak, of what is to come, oftentimes you chart in ahead of time, so to speak, though there is no time on the other side. You chart in these occurrences, these encounters, you might say, these relationships, and starting with your family, yes, dear ones. Human relationships and relationships with animals and nature are so deep and complex and beautiful, and you learn so much through them, dear ones. And so, if you are planning a lifetime where you are there to explore compassion, or you are there to explore redemption, let us say, of some sort. So often you need a story, you need characters in this story, and you may chart in an encounter with a loved one or a friend, and in many cases, someone you might consider to be an adjutant, an antagonist, so to speak, even an enemy or a nemesis or a villain, so to speak. You might learn more from one of those experiences this time around. And so, oftentimes there is an agreement ahead of time. Even though there is no time, it is just for you to understand. There is an energetic agreement that there will be this one that will appear along the road, so to speak, along your journey. This one will appear for some reason, and you are appearing in their story for some reason. Dear ones, you chart each other in. You chart in that annoying boss at work, or the co-worker that gossips too much, or you chart in someone who is trying to harm you in some way, or someone who loves you very deeply. You chart in complex experiences with children and mothers and fathers and grandparents, and all of these are agreements, dear one. You are here for reasons that are not always clear from where you stand, and because eternity has your back, so to speak, your higher, greater self is guiding this process, mixing it up a little here and there with these charted in encounters, you might say, charted in relationships. It is so beautiful when you meet the one that you are going to be spending most of your life with, or even all of your life with, this partner, this beautiful, loving, romantic and companionship relationship. It is so beautiful, and most of you know that these stories from your Walt Disney are very seldom the case where somebody lives happily ever after. These fairy tale ideas of relationship. Oftentimes in these stories, these fairy tales, there is trouble in the beginning and challenges and things to overcome, and then there is a breakthrough, and then there is just this happily ever after. Dear ones, at a deep level, Most of you know that this is not your purpose here to live happily ever after. This plane of existence, this density, so to speak, these 3 and 4D lifetimes are not for you to get comfortable and find a sense of belonging and just have a beautiful vacation, you might say. This is not the reason for these levels of density. There are far more celestial places and beautiful places for you to take your ease and rest, so to speak. If your soul needs deep healing or a time of recuperation, regeneration, you might say, the celestial realms, 5, 6, 7D realms and above are so often where it would be natural for you to have a respite from the density. No, dear ones, you do not come to this density for relaxation and comfort and enjoyment. You may have these, and it is beautiful when you do, for it is not supposed to be only just dreariness here. However, there is always some learning, some growth, some deeper understanding, deeper feelings that you come here for. For in these deep densities, there is the possibility for very deep feelings, dear ones. Even if there are a deep sense of sadness or tragedy or melancholy, even fear and terror, shame, these deeper feelings are very difficult to accomplish in 6D, you might say, where it is so obvious that this is illusion and that there are no real deep problems in the divine realms. And it is not that everything is a bowl of cherries, so to speak. It's just that the challenges are not so very dense and heavy, and therefore the feelings are not so dense and heavy. And you many times come here to explore these realms of depth of feeling. We will just say that if you think that you have lost a child, so to speak, or you think that your love has passed away or some terrible tragedy has happened, these feelings come through you that can be so instructive. You can learn so much about compassion, about love, about loss and grief, and these are just illusions, dear ones. They are not real. When someone dies on this plane or suffers horribly, it is a story. It is not their soul. Their soul does not suffer throughout eternity. They are not dead to eternity. They do not disappear from you forever, so to speak. Time is so tricky and so illusory, dear ones. When someone who you care deeply about, especially if it is your own child, passes away from you or is in some place where you cannot access them, so to speak, it can cause such a depth of sadness, such a depth of loss and loneliness. And dear ones, the loved one is not gone, and you are not going to be separate from them forever. Just know this. It is a situation for you to learn and grow. And dear ones, calling in relationships of any kind, there are no coincidences in this density. They are experiences that have happened for a reason and are happening for a reason. Even if you feel like you are persecuted or obstructed from your purpose or brought into a downer situation by someone who seems like they are operating in lower vibration, you have charted that in for a reason, dear ones. You are experiencing that to grow, to understand something more clearly. And so we chart in these beautiful relationships with our loved ones, our pets, beautiful relations with nature and Gaia, places that are dear to you. All of these beautiful relationships are opportunities to grow and to understand in a denser, deeper level these feelings that accompany them. And it may seem like if something is only happening for one little glimpse in the realms of eternity, something like the most beautiful sunset with different reflections upon the water, and there is a sense that I will never see something exactly like this again. And so therefore it makes it all the more special, all the more beautiful, because of that sense of its uniqueness, its temporary appearance on the canvas of eternity, so to speak. You, dear ones, feel it so much more presently in your being when you feel this like it is a rare gift, a gem of great beauty, so to speak. The same can be said for those of your loved ones who appear in your life. It may be your bestie, your deepest, best friend who you can confide anything in, spend so many days with, and go on grand adventures with, have great times with, in laughter and joy, and maybe even face some adventures and challenges together. This can be so beautiful. And yes, dear ones, that person who appears, maybe it is a neighbor who seems to be acting in a nasty way towards you, or maybe it seems to be someone in your neighborhood who is doing crimes or acting out in ways that seem highly inappropriate. Dear ones, this is not just coincidence that you are in this situation. This, yes, it is even a relationship with somebody who breaks into your car and steals your items. This relationship that you have with this other being is there to be instructive. It is there to help you to access parts of your own beingness that can only be accessed through this experience. And it is a gift. It is so difficult in so many circumstances to find the gift in especially the most difficult, we will call them relationships. It is hard to find a gift in someone who is abusive or has done harm to you, or even worse, to one of your loved ones, and you had to understand without power to stop it that someone that you care deeply about was hurt by another, and you have and carry a relationship with this other being who has done harm to you and yours. And so long as you do not face this and do not find the gifts in it and find a way to forgive, then you are doomed to carry for a time the energetics of not facing it, so to speak. This resentment or a grudge or a deep anger or some sort of sadness or depression. You will carry this, dear ones, until that relationship has played out and run its course, and you have gotten the message, the deep gifts that are so often obscured in terrible experiences or unpleasant chapters, so to speak. Just know that any being that appears in your life is in some way called in for your growth. This is a deep wisdom, and if you can grasp this, and if you can really live it, yes, dear ones, learn how to forgive even the most grievous of harms done to you and your loved ones. Learn to ask for forgiveness for those times where you have acted out in anger or retaliated or reacted in ways that you then regretted later upon reflection. Ask for forgiveness and find the gift in that, dear ones. There is always a gift. It is quite obvious where the gifts are when you are in love or having beautiful times with your loved ones or your pets or your friends. It is very often easy to find a gift in these, and at the same time there may be even deeper gifts for you in these experiences as well. Just know in the core of your being that no one appears in your world by accident. Nobody comes just randomly to break into your house or car or to harm you in some way. No police officer pulls you over just to accost you. If there is some sort of inappropriate exchange with a police officer, feel into this. Why is this happening? What am I to learn from this? Why did I chart this in? And when you begin to ask this question, why did I chart this in? This is where you can find the greatest growth. This is where you can find the deepest experiences. For many of you, when something unpleasant happens, you do not feel like you attracted this in any way. That is the last thing on your mind. I would never in a million years want to see my loved one harmed in some way. I would never in a million years want this person to do this to me. Dear ones, as long as you do this, as long as you push this away, I did not call this in, I do not want this, I reject it, you are throwing out the gift that is hidden in it. You are not taking in the wisdom that was meant to be learned from the experience. And you are certainly not feeling guided into this experience. You are not feeling like you agreed to it in any way or charted it in. When you are in this energetic, you are rejecting the gifts of learning, of growth. This is not to say, oh, I welcome somebody to come and stab me in the leg, for it would be a period of growth for me. That would be a little bit reckless. Let your higher self chart these in for you. Your higher self knows what you have come to do in this lifetime and will give you these opportunities to grow. And you do not need to go actively looking for some sort of vigilante action in order to gain some understanding. It is not like this, dear ones. It is simply when these occurrences happen, when these relationships emerge, and for good or for bad, pleasant or unpleasant, it is for you to question, what am I to learn from this? You do not even have to say, why did I chart this in? You can just say simply, what am I to learn from this? Perhaps it is compassion. Perhaps it is forgiveness. Perhaps it is something that you have done that is very similar in the past. You have forgotten about it, and now it is coming back up for you to see it from the other side. Perhaps you said harsh words about someone, especially behind their back, and it has come all the way around to you that someone has said harsh words behind your back, and it feels terrible. You think, why would I ever call this in? Perhaps it is for you to understand something that you did to another and give you an opportunity to open yourself up and ask for forgiveness for this that you have done in the past or in a connected lifetime, or whatever it is that you feel into and explore and come to understand. So, relationships are so much more than they appear from the outside looking in. They are deep, they are rich, they are beautiful in so many ways. Some of your most important relationships are the ones that are the most difficult. And as you begin to develop a consciousness to understand this, there is a growing opportunity for you to thank even the most difficult experiences, because when you thank them, you are opening yourself up to understand the deeper gifts that they have to offer. This is equally true with the relationships that are very fulfilling, very beautiful, and everyone loves having a best friend or a beloved pet who is their sidekick. Everyone loves to have the deepest love of their life walk into their world and to build a nest with them and to build and to face the world shoulder to shoulder with them. It is so beautiful, and there is so many deep understandings that can be gained from this as well. So it is not to necessarily favor the unpleasant experiences or the pleasant ones. It is simply to gain this consciousness that every experience is an opportunity to grow. We now see that you are seeing relationship from a very different standpoint than some dating website or some sort of popularity contest at the local high school. It is so much richer, this tapestry of relationships, than most delve into. That is enough for this message. I am Jadon Se, in love with the human stories that intertwine with each other and give great gifts to each other.